You know how sometimes there are those questions that are just for fun, where it's like, if you could go back in time, like what would you do? Maybe you would change something or stuff like that. And for the longest time, I didn't really know, like a cool or funny answer to those questions because there hasn't really been anything that I would want to, like go back and change, whether it would be, like in my own life or in history. Well, if we're speaking about history, like avoiding the whole, World War II thing would have been cool probably. But as far as my life goes, like even if I could go back into the past, I don't think I would change anything. I'm not one of those people who has like a lot of regrets or something like that. But today I realized the one thing that I would definitely do if I, if I could go back in time is I would go to one of those shows in 2009 where Cinema Bazaar opened for Lady Gaga. And that just like, I was just thinking about it, like about how there was one point, like in time where my favorite teenage band, Cinema Bazaar, was opening for an artist who would later turn out to be my favorite artist of all time, Lady Gaga. And at that time, I didn't really like her. I think I enjoyed her singles, but I was kind of about her because at that time I was like, ooh, so edgy, and she seemed to me like a stereotypical pop bitch, And I was just trying so hard to distance myself from anything that is conventionally attractive or like, like conventional pop music in general. Even though Cinema Bazaar was pretty pop, compared to some other alternative stuff that people listen to. Anyway, I was a silly 13-year-old. So basically, if I hypothetically could go back in time and do anything, I would go and see Cinema Bazaar and Lady Gaga at the same concert. My favorite teenage artist and my favorite artist of all time in the same show. And I think that's, that's an experience that I've been robbed of because I still, like, to this day, Cinema Bazaar has such a special place in my heart, even though, like, I rarely listen to their music, but, like, whenever I do, it was such a huge part of my life. Like, I talked about them a lot on my channel, but I don't really think many people understand, and like there are not really many fans outside Europe that they had, because their main success was of course like in Germany, because they were a German band, and then like they had huge fandoms in Russia and like Eastern Europe. Like I know that Lithuania was crazy about them at one point. Well, not like crazy as in like mainstream crazy, but there was one point where I think like one magazine by popular request printed an article on them, and I think it was such a success. Of course, like me and my friends went and bought it immediately the moment that we saw that it's a thing, like a Lithuanian magazine wrote about our favorite band, which nobody in our friend circle or immediate vicinity really knew about. And then I remember like pretty much every teen magazine after that, like in the coming months, had an article or a poster of Cinema Bazaar, and that was the best thing. Like we were on freaking cloud nine. It was such a cool thing. I still have most of the posters, even though they're pretty pretty messed up now because they're old, but those were the days, man. So yeah, I would go and see Cinema Bazaar and Lady Gaga in a concert. What would you do if you could go back in time? Tell me in the comments, I'm really curious. Because usually people either, like answer the same as I usually would, like, oh, I wouldn't even want to go back in time or change anything. Or they have some cool answer that blows your mind and you're like, yeah, why didn't I think of that? So yeah, let me know. Because even beyond that, like, if I could do more than just go back in 2009 and see Cinema Bazaar and Lady Gaga at the same show, I would probably go, like something like, like to the 60s, 70s, and 80s, see artists like ABBA and stuff like that, people and bands that have broken up, and I would love to see them in their prime, like doing a show. So basically, I would literally only travel back in time for concerts. That's how you know you love music, and you'll have some favorite artists that you can never see live anymore. Speaking of that, Paul Simon is doing a tour, his last tour ever, his farewell tour, and he's gonna be going to, I think, North America and some European countries. Of course, he's not really coming anywhere near Lithuania, but like the nearest place that he's coming to is Stockholm, which is, I think, like an hour flight from here. So I'm gonna try my best to actually literally save up some money so I can go and see my idol my songwriting idol, Paul Simon, on his last tour in Sweden in like, what, is it June or something like that? So yeah, I don't know how that's gonna work out, but I'm gonna try. So at this point, you all know that I try new hairstyles like twice a year. And so since now I'm like really super extra into Star Wars, like it's embarrassing how obsessed I am with Star Wars, I decided to try Rey's iconic buns. It's super messy and it's kind of like uneven and stuff like that, but it's cute. I like it. I like feeling like I'm a brave protagonist from a science fiction. Star Wars is not really science fiction, but like from a fantasy space movie with laser swords and all the other beautiful things that Star Wars has. Like, this is genuinely cute. I really like that. So this weekend was February 16th, which is the official National Lithuanian Independence Day. But this year was special because it was 100-year anniversary of the 20 people signing the Independence Declaration and declaring that Lithuania is a country. So in honor of that, as well as a couple other things, my aunt decided to throw a party. And the party was in this big manor, or is it manor? I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Basically, it's not like a mansion. I think it's called a manor or a manor. But basically, there was a party and it was like a fun party. We had loads of fun. There were loads of like decorations in Lithuanian flag colors, which is always super nice to see because, of course, I might be biased, but to me, the Lithuanian flag colors is probably like one of the most beautiful flag color combinations in the world, because like there are so many flags that, for example, have the red, white and blue combination, like America, Great Britain, France, and so many other countries as well. But the color combination that we have, like the yellow, green and red, you don't really see that very often, at least not in that order. And I absolutely love seeing decor in these colors. Of course, once again, this is entirely biased because I mean it's my country, but like I genuinely enjoy the aesthetic of it, so all those decorations look really pretty to me. And I don't know what's going on with my voice, but yeah. The funny thing about it though is that I guess my aunt had made some friends along the way who work at basically the Lithuanian equivalent of the People magazine, I think. I mean, it is called pretty much the same thing, just in Lithuanian, so I'm guessing that is an equivalent of the People magazine. Basically, it's just like a little bit more serious than a tabloid, but basically in that category of press and stuff like that. And so they wrote an article, not in the actual printed magazine, but in their website. Of course, it's in Lithuanian, so if you're Lithuanian and you know what I'm talking about, you can probably like find it somewhere. But yeah, they wrote about the entire party and they included loads of pictures, which included some pictures of me, which were really adorable actually. And it was just one of the most fun parties ever, to be honest, because like I always loved partying with my dad's side of the family because they're always super fun to be around, and my dad was singing and playing the piano and guitar with his friend and it was all fun and we danced a lot. So of course it was super cool to see the article after that in like a major, you know, like magazine website thing. It was actually a surprise, like I had no idea that that would be a thing, but you know, it was pretty cool. I was shook at when I saw. We also celebrated my dad's birthday earlier this week, and my dad's birthday is on February 14th, which is of course Valentine's Day, so it's actually really convenient because I'm never sad on Valentine's Day, because even when I was younger and like could have potentially stressed about being single, that day would always be a celebration regardless of my, like relationship status. So it doesn't matter if I got a Valentine or not, I still always know that I'm gonna go home and eat cake and be happy with my family. And I made my dad a Snoopy little like clay figurine because my dad really likes Snoopy from Peanuts and I really think it's an adorable character as well. So I made him a little Snoopy playing a guitar and it was pretty great. He loved it. So yeah, that was my week in review. I hope you enjoyed it and thank you so much for watching this video and I will see you next time. I love you guys. Bye!